Well, Anthony Albanese is back in Canberra after his 6-day tour of China, a trip the Australian newspaper's Foreign Affairs editor Greg Sheridan described at the weekend as, quote, a huge mistake. He wrote that the trip was simultaneously cringingly subservient and foolishly self-indulgent. Greg Sheridan joins me now. Greg, thanks for coming on the program. What did Anthony Albanese get out of his Chinese trip? And what did Xi Jinping get out of Albanese's Chinese trip?
James, good to be with you. So Anthony Albanese in substance got absolutely nothing at all out of the trip. He got less than nothing. But politically, he's selling the story that he can manage the China relationship. Morrison couldn't, and by extension Dutton. He's campaigning hard amongst ethnic Chinese Australians to show that he loves China culturally. We all love China culturally. I mean, none of us would exist without Chinese food. But these are essentially fraudulent messages because it was a tremendous propaganda win for Xi Jinping. So China is engaged in extremely aggressive military actions all around the place, constantly violating Japanese and Taiwanese airspace, threatening our airmen and sailors, circumnavigating our continent, doing live fire exercises, causing civilian planes flying to New Zealand to swerve and take evasive action to find new routes and so on. And yet Albanese only raised the most pro forma sotto voce concerns about any of this. But Xi Jinping gets to broadcast to the world, look, even America's closest ally, Australia, has no troubles at all with Chinese behaviour, no troubles at all. And look, they recognise that we are the most important power in the world because their Prime Minister spent 6 days in our country, which he hasn't done in any other country in his entire Prime Ministership. It's a cold shoulder to Japan and South Korea, our de facto allies in Northeast Asia, and it's a cold shoulder to India, which is the balance to China. Official Australian policy is to diversify trade away from China. Albanese, if this visit had any trade consequences at all, and I don't think it did, just makes us more dependent on China. And then finally, James, my final thought, this utter nonsense that the Chinese have soft-soaped him that they're going to buy Australian green steel. One day somebody is going to invent green hydrogen, and then allegedly the Chinese are going to be so devoted to net zero that they are going to pay a massive cost premium to use our so far uninvented green hydrogen to make their so far unanticipated green steel to reach net zero, at the same time as which they're opening one new coal-fired power station every week and have just built a swag of, or just financed a swag of dirty coal-fired power stations to power their nickel investments in Indonesia. And Albanese is selling that to the Australian people as an economic achievement. So this is fantasy land, and it's a very destructive fantasy land.
Greg, I note that even former Labor heavyweight Graham Richardson is concerned that Albanese is still to have a sit-down meeting with Donald Trump. Have a listen to what he said earlier today.
I think the meeting's got to occur. The question is how soon can it occur? And as far as I'm concerned, the sooner the better. I don't mind if Anthony gets on a plane tonight to go there.
Get on a plane tonight? Is it that urgent?
Well, Richo is absolutely right. It's only become urgent because of the chronic mismanagement of Albanese. The Albanese government is actually very amateurish in national security and foreign affairs. Albanese himself can't cope once he goes beyond his talking points. He often gets basic facts wrong, seems to have no interest in national security. And Trump is a difficult president for allies and for opponents, a very difficult president. He's hard to manage, and you never know what's going to happen in the White House. But here's the thing. There is no other United States for Australia than the United States. Our national security is totally dependent on the United States. So, by the way, is our economy. The United States has something like $1 trillion of cumulative investment in Australia. That totally dwarfs anything from China, and investment in the end is much more important than trade. And it is up to Albanese in the national interest to manage his relationship with Trump. He's been ill-advised and made bad decisions all the way through. As soon as Trump was elected and before he was inaugurated, Albanese should have gone and seen him. Doesn't have to embrace Trump's political philosophy. Mark Carney in Canada didn't do that. Keir Starmer in England didn't do that. but they went and had their meetings with Trump. Trump might even say something that's disobliging, but Albanese has to have a relationship with Trump. He has to positively manage it. Of course, our economy is doing very badly. We're in a per capita negative growth phase, probably a per capita recession. Our productivity is going through the basement, and he won't spend a dollar on defence because government spending has run out of control on social programs. So he's got no good story to take to Trump. But surely you could, burnish up something, critical minerals or rare earths or some palaver or, military intimacy or something, or he could make some token increase in the defence budget. But this all seems to be beyond the wit of the Albanese government. They enjoyed tarring Peter Dutton with an association with Donald Trump. And now you've got the bizarre situation where he goes over for a tickle-my-tummy, substance-free 6 days with Xi Jinping, singing the praises of the very regime which has produced the worst, most dangerous strategic circumstances in 80 years for Australia, according to the Albanese government, but has no relationship at all with the President of the nation, which is absolutely critical to Australia's national security.